Halloween night 2001. A 21-year-old girl student named Cindy Song, yeah, her last name was Song, went to a costume party near Penn State University. She was dressed as a bunny, pink outfit, white bunny ears, and a fluffy tail. Pretty furry, I know. She partied with friends, laughed, took photos, and around 2 a.m., a friend dropped her off at her apartment. That was the last time anyone ever saw her. Yeah, you know it was coming. When police checked her home, her purse, phone, and false eyelashes were all inside. Signs that she'd made it back safely. But her keys were missing. Her front door was unlocked. And she was gone, of course. No signs of struggle, no screams, no witnesses. Everything looks very tied up. At first, people thought she might have run away. But Cindy had just decorated her apartment for Christmas, bought gifts, and made plans. She wasn't going anywhere. Her relationship was very healthy with everyone, so why would she do that? Then months later, an informant claimed a man confessed to kidnapping and killing a woman on Halloween night. Was it Cindy? Let's find out. And even said he kept her bunny ears as a trophy. But before police could confirm the story, that informant source vanished. To this day, Cindy Song's body has never been found. She simply disappeared right after Halloween night. And every year, people still whisper about the girl in the bunny costume who never came back home. What do you think? What happened exactly? A hiker went out alone, something he wasn't used to doing. The day started normal. Trees and thick bushes surrounded him as he moved through the mountains, enjoying the quiet and the fresh air. For hours, nothing felt off. That changed when he decided to head back. After nearly 8 hours of hiking, the sky was already darkening. He turned around, expecting the familiar trail, but it didn't look right. The path felt wrong. His pace quickened, then panic set in. Night fell completely. All he had left was a weak flashlight and no idea where he was. Pushing deeper into the forest felt dangerous, so he stopped. Terrified, he'd have no shelter for the whole night. Then he saw it. A small, broken-down cabin hidden among the trees. It looked abandoned, untouched for years. But with his flashlight dying, he had no choice. He knocked. No answer. After a pause, he stepped inside. What struck him immediately was the bed, perfectly placed in the center of the room, made for one person. Exhausted and convinced no one was coming back, if anyone even owned the place anymore, he lay down. As he tried to sleep, his eyes kept drifting to the walls, paintings covering them. Portraits of strange people, all staring directly at him. Every face wore a smile that made his skin crawl. Something was definitely wrong. Eventually, the exhaustion won. He fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up early and froze. The paintings were gone. In their place were all windows. The hospital where the patients were tagged with colored bands. Green alive, red diseased. This one is very interesting. I remember reading it during one of my live streams. One night, the doctor was instructed to get a few supplies from the basement of the hospital. And so he headed to the lift. The lift doors opened and there was a patient inside, minding her own business. Patients were allowed to roam around the hospital to stretch, especially those who have stayed long. The rule was to be back in their rooms before 10. The doctor smiled at the patient before pressing the number for the basement. He found it unusual that the woman didn't have a button already pressed. He wondered if she was heading to the basement too. The lift finally reached the floor where the doors opened. In the distance, a man was limping towards the elevator. And in a panic, the doctor slammed the elevator button to close. It finally did, and the lift began to ascend back up. The doctor's heart pounding. "Why did you do that?" "He was trying to use the lift," the woman stated, annoyed. "Did you see his wrist?" the doctor asked. "It was red. He died last night. I would know because I did his surgery." The woman lifted her wrist. He saw red. She smiled. "Like this one, you mean?" Heather was at her friend Jenny's house one afternoon. It was just after school and Jenny's parents hadn't arrived home from work yet. It was just the two of them, and they were engrossed in a board game. Heather was having a good time, except they were playing in a room to Jenny's parents' bedroom, and every now and then Heather would glance up through the open door of that bedroom to see a little girl doll sitting up on the bed. Its eyes appeared to be staring at them. She tried to ignore it, but over time it started to get to her. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I can't concentrate. That doll on the bed over there is giving me the creeps." "Oh, no problem," Jenny replied. She went to the room and closed the door to calm Heather down. Then the two friends resumed their game. By the way, drop a like if you're enjoying it so far. It hadn't been long, however, before Heather glanced up again, the door was open once again, and again the doll appeared to be staring at them. Creepy. Jenny couldn't understand it. She could swear that there was nobody else home and that there was no way the door could have opened without the knob being turned. Shrugging, she went up to the bedroom and closed the door, this time making sure that it clicked shut. But again and again, they would check the door and find it wide open. Heather was starting to get very scared. Finally, Jenny had enough of this. She went into the bedroom, grabbed the doll, and threw it into the closet, slamming it shut. She then slammed the bedroom door shut behind her, and they resumed their game. For a while, things appeared to be going well, but then Heather glanced up one last time. All of a sudden, she stood up and said, "Goodbye," and ran home as fast as she could. This time, when Jenny looked up, she saw the bedroom door only slightly open, with a chair propped up behind, and sitting on the chair, peeking through the opening at them, was that doll. Credit goes to Jack Stryker. Thank you for sharing the story. This actually happened to me a few years back at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. My sophomore year, I roomed with a girl named Kara. She was a jazz vocalist, but her main interest was opera. We had a small room on the 6th floor of a dorm called Juniper Hall. The walls were thin, very thin, and her late-night singing and voice practices would keep me up late. After a month or so of lost sleep, I convinced her to move her late-night practices to the music studios in the Marion Theater building a block away. Around 8 o'clock one evening, Kara announced that she would be practicing late for an upcoming show and probably wouldn't be home until around midnight. Great. I thought that means I can go to bed early. I was beat. I had a horrible day in acting studio and was ready to pass out as soon as I had dinner. She said goodnight and left with a cup of coffee and a music sheet in her hand. I made some grilled cheese and soup, gobbled it down, and immediately began to prepare for bed. I was in peace. I was calm and happy. By the time I got out of the shower, my eyelids were so heavy I could hardly brush my teeth. I pulled on my pajamas and crawled into the top bunk of our bed. It was a bunk bed. I was out as soon as my head hit the pillow. So relaxed. Anyway, I woke up to the sound of the apartment door closing. I opened my eyes and groggily checked my phone. Midnight on the dot. I rolled back over and closed my eyes. I heard Kara enter the room and stop in front of the bunk bed, checking to see if I'm actually asleep. I thought she flopped down on the bed below me, which was strange, as she was a stickler for brushing her teeth and washing up before bed. Then again, exams were just around the corner and we were all exhausted. The mattress below me creaked and then was silent. I couldn't even hear her breathing. I started to drift off again. I was just on the edge of deep sleep when I was awake again by a noise. A key in the lock, the door opening, and Kara entering our apartment, humming an opera tune. The mattress below me creaked once again. The date was April 30, 1975, Easter Sunday. In a modest two-story house on Minor Avenue, the air should have been filled with the smell of roasting ham and the sound of children hunting for eggs. Instead, it became the site of a nightmare. Charity Ruppert, a 65-year-old grandmother, was thrilled to have her family home. Her eldest son, Leonard Jr., had arrived with his wife, Alma, and their 8 children. Yeah, 8. Ranging in age from 4 to 17. They were a typical, bustling family, full of life and holiday excitement. Staying in the house was Charity's younger son, James, at 41. James was a stark contrast to his successful brother. He was unemployed and struggling with debt, quiet, resentful, and increasingly unstable. An expert marksman who spent his free time at local firing ranges. While the children played and the adults chatted in the kitchen, James stayed upstairs in his room. He was enjoying the celebration. He was cleaning his guns. James felt like the black sheep. He was jealous of his brother's family and felt very, very stressed about it for some reason. His mother's constant nagging about his lifestyle was annoying him. As the family sat down for their Easter meal, James finally descended the stairs. He wasn't carrying a fork or a plate. He was armed with a 22 caliber pistol and a 357 Magnum. The scene is set. In the matter of minutes, the quiet neighborhood of Hamilton would be changed forever. James walked into the kitchen with his mother and brother were standing. And without saying a word, he raised his weapon. James entered the kitchen first. Without a word, he shot his brother and then his mother. There was no argument and no plea for mercy. The sound of the gunfire was muffled by the thick walls of the old house and the rainy weather outside. Hearing the noise, Leonard's wife Alma rushed towards the kitchen. James killed her instantly. Then he turned his attention to the children. He targeted the older children first, knowing they were the most likely to fight back or escape. He then found the younger children, some of whom were still dressed in their Easter best. In total, 11 people were killed. James used 4 different firearms, switching between them as he ran out of ammunition. After the final shot was fired, the house fell into a deadly silence. The table was still set for the Easter feast. Instead of fleeing or turning the gun on himself, James did something truly bizarre. He stayed in the house. He spent nearly 3 hours wandering through the rooms, with the bodies of his entire family. Did you know people once wore costumes to scare away ghosts they believed roamed on Halloween night? The idea was to pretend that you're one of them so that they don't hurt you. And today it's a fun thing, a fun tradition, and it's not very consistent because people literally dress up as anything. Spider-Man, Superman. But anyways, Halloween originated from the ancient Celtic festival Samhain. Samhain. If you're Irish, correct me. The spelling is Samhain, but it's actually not pronounced Samhain, it's Samhain. If you're Irish, do comment down because I really need to confirm that. Trick-or-treating evolved from the medieval tradition sowing where homeless people would knock your door for food and they would pray for your loved ones who's dead basically. So it was a wholesome tradition, now it's just a childish thing. But I wish adults could do that too, because I would love to participate. The first jack-o'-lanterns were carved from turnips, not pumpkins. Americans changed it because pumpkins are bigger and easy to carve. And that's pretty logical. And it's pretty iconic at this moment. I don't think turnip would work as something iconic. Okay, I think I told you enough facts. It's time to read you some stories. Let me put my glasses on. Don't worry, my eyes are okay. It's just to protect my already strong eyes. They're blue filter glasses, and I think every one of you should have a pair because you're using your phones, computers. So to protect your eyes, you should have one of these for sure. Okay, time for the next story. Enjoy. In 1970s, twin sisters June and Jennifer Gibbons were born in Wales. From an early age, they were inseparable, almost unnaturally so. They mirrored each other's movements, finished each other's sentences, and spoke in a strange secret language no one else could understand. At school, teachers noticed something unsettling. The twins refused to talk to anyone else. Not their classmates, not their parents, no one. They moved in perfect sync, communicating only with glances, whispers, and that private language that even linguists couldn't fully decode. As they grew older, their silence deepened. They spent nearly all their time locked in their room, writing dark stories about violence, death, and twisted love. Their diaries revealed a disturbing obsession with each other. Love and hate intertwined. Each twin wrote that the other had to die for one to truly live. Eventually, their strange behavior led to minor crimes, vandalism, theft, even arson. They were sent to Broadmoor Hospital, one of the most famous psychiatric institutions in the UK. Their doctors noticed something chilling. When separated, they would shut down completely, refuse to eat or move. When reunited, they became eerily calm, as if sharing one consciousness, as if they're two bodies, but one soul. Then one day in 1993, something changed. Jennifer told June very calmly, "It's time for me to die. It's time for me to die." Hours later, on their way to a new facility, Jennifer suddenly collapsed in June's lab. She was pronounced dead. Her heart had simply stopped. No drugs, no poison, no medical explanation. After Jennifer's death, June began to speak freely, normally, for the first time in her life. She later said, "We had decided one of us had to die so the other could live. No one ever understood what truly bound or cursed those two sisters." Bats became linked to Halloween because of bonfire that attracts insects, and bats followed. Black cats are seen as symbols of witchcraft and bad luck in many cultures. That's very sad. Okay, the color orange and black represents harvest and death. I think you would have guessed it anyways. Halloween is the second largest commercial holiday in the US after Christmas. Okay, time for the next story. Halloween night 2001. A 21-year-old girl student named Cindy Song, yeah, her last name was Song, went to a costume party near Penn State University. She was dressed as a bunny, pink outfit, white bunny ears, and a fluffy tail. Pretty furry, I know. She partied with friends, laughed, took photos, and around 2 a.m., a friend dropped her off at her apartment. That was the last time anyone ever saw her. Yeah, you know it was coming. When police checked her home, her purse, phone, and false eyelashes were all inside. Signs that she'd made it back safely. But her keys were missing. Her front door was unlocked. And she was gone, of course. No signs of struggle, no screams, no witnesses. Everything looks very tidy up. At first, people thought she might have run away. But Cindy had just decorated her apartment for Christmas, bought gifts, and made plans. She wasn't going anywhere. Her relationship was very healthy with everyone, so why would she do that? Then months later, an informant claimed a man confessed to kidnapping and killing a woman on Halloween night. Was it Cindy? And even said he kept her bunny ears as a trophy. But before police could confirm the story, that informant's source vanished. To this day, Cindy Song's body has never been found. She simply disappeared right after Halloween night. And every year, people still whisper about the girl in the bunny costume who never came back home. What do you think? What happened exactly? A full moon on Halloween is rare. The last one was in 2020. The word Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve, the night before All Saints' Day. I think Art the Clown debuted in the movie All Hallows Eve. Correct me if I'm wrong. Halloween night, 1974. Kids in Texas run through the street, laughing, chasing candy and ghosts. 8-year-old Timothy O'Brien is one of them, trick-or-treating with his dad, Ronald. When they get home, Ronald hands him a special treat. By the way, it's a true story. I don't think I have to tell you always if it's true or not. You can figure it out. But if you have any questions, always ask. And drop a like if you're enjoying so far. Okay, so where was I? When they get home, Ronald hands him a special treat. A giant pixie sticks. Timothy whips it open. Sweet powder hits his tongue. And a second later, he starts choking. He collapses. By the time they reach the hospital, he's gone. Doctors find cyanide in his blood, enough to kill a grown man. Police panic, believing someone's poisoning Halloween candy. But when they trace it back, they find the truth is worse. It was his father. Ronald had taken out life insurance policies on his kid and poisoned his own son for the money. He tried to blame a stranger, but no one bought it. They called him the Candyman. And ever since that night, parents all over America have checked their kids' candy because of one man who turned Halloween into horror. Spiders are Halloween symbols because they were believed to watch over witches or appear when spirits are near. Seeing your reflection in a dark mirror on Halloween was once thought to reveal your future spouse. Interesting. The first mass-produced Halloween costume appeared in the 1930s. The most popular Halloween candy of all time is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In the US, of course. Zombies became part of Halloween culture after being popularized by horror films in the mid-1900s. On a cold October night, the White family sat by the fire when a friend arrived with something strange in his hand. A dried, twisted monkey's paw. Gross, I know. He said it could grant 3 wishes, but each one came with a terrible price. They laughed at first. It sounded like nonsense, but later that night, the father, curious and greedy like a typical man, made a wish for money. The next day, their son went to work and never came back home. He was caught in a factory accident. The company sent them £200 in a compensation, the exact amount they wished for. Days later, his wife, broken with grief, begged her husband to use the second wish to bring their son back. That night, someone knocked at the door. 3 slow knocks. The mother rushed to open it, but the father grabbed the paw and made the final wish. When she opened the door, there was nothing, just the cold night air and the empty road. Silence, and nobody is there. And there was a sign that says, "Be careful what you wish for. The monkey's paw always takes more than it gives." Since you're still watching, I hope you already dropped a like, by the way. The original Halloween movie 1978 was filmed on a very low budget. The mask Michael Myers wears is a painted Captain Kirk mask. In Ireland, Halloween is still celebrated much like Samhain, with bonfires and old folk tradition. Candies and windows were once meant to guide lost spirits back to the afterlife on Halloween night. In the quiet, fog-drenched village of Sleepy Hollow, there lived a nervous schoolteacher named Ichabod Crane. I don't know if I said the name correctly because I often mispronounce names, so I apologize. He had heard the stories, the legend of a phantom rider, a headless horseman, cursed to roam the earth on Halloween night. They said he was the ghost of a soldier who'd lost his head to a cannonball. And every year, he returned to search for a new one. One cold October night, Ichabod rode home through the forest. The trees groaned above him, The moon barely lit the road. Then he heard it. Hoofbeats. Getting closer. He turned, and there it was. A rider clothed in black, with no head, only a burning pumpkin in its place. Ichabod kicked his horse, racing through the dark. The horseman behind him, silent but relentless. At the old bridge, Ichabod looked back one last time. Just as the horseman threw his fiery pumpkin straight at him. The next morning, they found his hat and a shattered pumpkin. Some say Ichabod fled the town in fear, but others whispered that the headless horseman finally found his head. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the stories. Tell me which one you enjoyed so far. And if you have any personal experience, do share that also. And Christmas is coming soon, so how about you watch this? Even though it's from the last year, but why not? And I'll see you next time. Adios.